You know poetry dropping when the pen clicks, and poets get it popping with the pen click. You now rock with Kuya David, the pen click prime minister, out here with my brother Daniel Hees, a chubby fat god. And today, we got the Guatemalan pharaoh that'll turn art into dinero, but still gonna pull out them barrels. We got the god, Alpharaoh. Let's get it.
I gave an old poet $5 on the blue line today. Gave him $5 worth of hope, $5 worth of dope, $5 that'll probably go towards a slow needle over a fast noose rope. Gave him $5 worth of smoke inhalation that eases his suicidal contemplation, inhaling that comforting and tingling sensation that eases his addictive yearn, eliminates concern, makes the cold disappear and the fear seem unknown, no longer his own as his eyes roll over and glaze. This ecstasy is but a moment of escape from his trap maze, for he is a rat, scum bum who stinks like old piss and dry cum. His appearance shrieks of poverty slums, but he don't care. His mind escapes hell por un tiempo as his soul struggles to free itself from his corrupted temple, while we, his audience, witness the whole spectacle. He scans the train car to see what his chances are of sparring with us for some spare change, so I, being a poet myself, gave him a $5 hard-earned dollars for this learned street scholar as I studied the fine lines in his face, and I wondered, if the pen is mightier than the sword, why didn't you pen a story where your life takes off and soars? You can do that shit with a worn-out Bic. Instead, he chooses a big lighter to heat up his spoon, while any clean needle from the clinic will do, as he chases dragons to slay him with every stab to his blue line veins. Blue line blues, blue line pains, blue line tragedy, like the man that felt the necessity to jump in front of the blue line train I wrote the other day. But that story is written for another day, cause this one is about an old poet who spoke easy like at an open mic. His voice was hoarse from a damaged windpipe with the resonance and melancholy of a downtown night, making them feel like if his soul has a hole from a gunshot wound earned in the botched robbery of 82, which robbed him of his hopes and dreams, replaced him with the ambition a glass pipe seems, together with broken promises, love lost, his existence forgotten. When devils will the blackest sins put on, they fool you into believing that the dusk is but the dawn. See, he is but a pawn that lives on a hit-by-hit basis. This is the life of this basehead, wasted. His talent almost is, and I say almost, but his life is all least. He's a frontal lobe lobotomy away from being a beast. He's pouring out his heart. He's a genuine artiste. The pain of his words echo with each sound that is released, while the other passengers act as if he don't even exist. They just want him to quit his spit, cease his peace, leave in peace. Yo, where the fuck is the MTA police? I bet with a rapper's Jesus piece over his neck, he still wouldn't find his God close to heart, cause he's the one who left now. The only difference between this poet and I is that he crapped out of life one too many times after he last rolled dices. He got the whole shit pie, we just get served slices. Justice can be bought, but he can't afford the inflated prices. So he gave up slowly when he decided not to fight it, as he recited passages about his life and how he got blindsided. But this wasn't Poe's Raven or even Michael Orr, although he was born from a whore. For every hug she almost gave him, that crack pipe needed her more. He spoke about not knowing his real dad and going off to war to provide for his mom, but he didn't, cause he came back fucked up from Vietnam. He carried his whole life on his back in a pack that was dark blue or black, like his lungs from the tar or his heart from the scars that don't heal with meds for pain. His hair is graying, his teeth decaying, but the words he was saying has so much life in him, while his tattered veins course poisonous venom, and his mangled brain fights to stay active with him. See, I only meant to give him $1 too, cause shit, I'm fucking broke. But fuck it, I went ahead and gave him the only $5 instead, as he nodded his head while, God bless you, he quietly said as he passed me by. I swear I heard his inner child cry, and in that moment I felt my own pain subside, and I thanked the highest source for the gift of being alive. I purchased the memory that night with the only $5 that I owned. As I counted my blessings, I got off on 5th and Spring, wondered about this poet and where else he had been in the place he might call home. I gave an old poet $5 on the blue line today. 5 measly dollars for this breathe easy scholar. Hey, yo, my brother, there is hope in the tomorrow.
Hey, let's go. Alpharaoh, the god, out here doing it.
Hell yeah. Blessed to have you again.
Thank you.
Again.
For the second, third, fourth, fifth time, whatever. Because like Alex Alpharaoh, like Pen Clique wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Alex.
Word.
So back in the day, we tried doing this thing called the poetry class, which is like a head-to-head poetry slam.
And again, we didn't try, we did it.
We did it.
That
Yeah,
shit was lit.
You'll see the video right here. And yeah, like I needed two poets to test out the idea of this like head-to-head clash, head-to-head poetry slam. And I knew Alex from Eddie Ghana. Shout out to Eddie Ghana and Sunday Jump team. And
Thank
then
you, Steady.
Through Charles Williams, I needed a second person. So through Charles Williams of the Freedom of Speech Thursdays open mic, he was able to hook me up with Mr. Daniel Hees. That was the first time I met him. And then we did this poetry slam in my mom's garage.
The three of us met. And here we are, dog. This is what happened.
Yeah, and even into like developing the Pen Clique show for the first test episodes back in the day. Like we had Alex Alpharaoh, like
he was our first
in
test
his
poet.
kitchen in his apartment. So yo, thank you for blessing us with your art, bro.
Oh man, thank you guys for always including me. I love Pen Clique. I love you, Kuya, and you, Daniel. You guys are so inspirational and a big part of the reason why I feel included in this community. So much love to you guys.
Hey, you're inspirational too, bro. Hell yeah, the professional poet out here in the building. How many of y'all poets can say that you make money, your entire living, put food in your mouth, and clothes on the back of your daughter with poetry?
Yeah, well,
Alex can say that shit. What's up?
Slanging poems.
Let's go.
Speaking of slanging poems, let's get into our first bit, Threads and Lines, where we take a look at the poem that you just performed and investigate what are the threads of life experience that forged those lines of poetry. Threads and Lines.
This is all first verse. All first verse. You about to get this work.
Yeah, so one thing that you do, I mean, you from LA, dog, as fuck. So that really comes through in a lot of your work. While doing all of these things, building these big scenes and these empathetic characters, or trying to manifest empathy for these characters, you're still doing something quite poetic. It's still a poem. It still carries like a poem. It still has like a beginning, middle, and an end. It's concise. You could follow it. The one thing I really enjoyed about this, hearing it the first time, and you even say it, right? This poem is about this person. But really, on paper, what this poem is and seems like is a poem about $5 and what $5 means in the context of this reality that you've built for everybody around this world. And again, building this empathetic character. You start the poem with, I gave an old poet $5 on the blue line today. And you end the poem, I gave $5 measly to a speakeasy scholar. So it's like, it is kind of like the intro and the outro of the poem. Literally, it is kind of framing the poem, but it really is more of an emphasis, because you mentioned the blue line, and that metaphor kind of touches and wanes and reinforces the poem. But again, the $5 seems to be what this is about. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, man, because it's about $5. It's about an old man poet. It's about my struggle. It's about the socioeconomic circumstances that people in Los Angeles have to live through. You know what I mean? Like, I wrote this piece as a form of compensation from myself. I was going through a very difficult socioeconomic time in my life when this piece came to be.
As a form of compensation for myself.
As a form of compensation for
Bars
myself.
off the top, bro. Let's
concept,
go.
Though.
And this is like a real story, right?
Yeah, man. I mean,
Like
shit.
this really happened.
It really happened. I was chilling on the blue line, man, trying to get home from Long Beach all the way to Echo Park. I was couch surfing and I literally had $6 in my pocket, and I was on the phone with my mom's trying to get her to let me borrow $100 so I could get through the incoming week. You know what I mean? And eat, yeah, basically, right? And then this man gets on the train, and what I appreciated about him was that the level of dignity and self-respect that he carried with himself. Forget everything else. Forget that he was struggling, that he was homeless and everything. The fact that he didn't flat out ask anyone for anything, he chose to give us something. He chose to present something to us in a way that wasn't imposing, and it didn't make you feel guilty for either listening or not listening and giving or not giving to him. You know what I mean?
He wasn't begging.
He wasn't begging, bro. And that takes a lot of dignity and a lot of self-respect. So that spoke volumes to me about who this man was, even though that interaction is basically a moment where I just handed him a bill.
Word.
and handing him a bill, and he said, "God bless you," as he kept walking by. And I don't even remember if we made eye contact. It was just one of those things where it's like, I appreciate the fact that you're doing this because I'm one circumstance away from that. You know what I'm saying?
And that must have been extra real because he was a poet too.
And he was a poet. And as a poet, I don't think I would have had the courage to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it took a lot of courage to stand up in front of a bunch of
And
strangers.
we could all do it swagged out. We're looking fresh to death, you know what I'm saying, on the stage and
Yeah,
shit.
man.
But it's another thing to do it.
Like realizing how close we are. Like none of us are really that far from being out on the street.
Yeah.
And then and when poetry is when that's your only creative means and outlet to gain make a living. And out on the street, what does that mean? What does $5 mean to a homeless person versus what does $5 mean to a student, to someone who has a job? What is it's interesting throughout your poem how what $5 means to different people in different situations, how that changes constantly, and that's dope. Like to bring it to the part where you say, gave him $5 worth of hope, $5 worth of dope, $5 that'll go towards a slow needle over a fast noose rope.
Hey.
Fire. Dude, and and speaking of, I love how you maintain that tradition of rhyme form in your poetry, because these days, rhyming isn't that popular in spoken word, specifically in the slam scene, because in the early 2000s when hip hop was on the rise and all that, we saw a lot of heavy rhymers in the scene, getting winning national slams with rhymes. Because oftentimes, in slam, I think that's why there was a style shift, because a lot of people are trying to do these multi-syllabic stacks, but then you're burning all this time on style, and you're not getting
getting extra hits
to the substance. You're not getting
hits.
You're not getting directly to the punch, and you only have 3 minutes in competition. So I think that's why there was a little style shift. That's my hypothesis. But not only do you
Professor Kuya.
Not only do you keep that tradition of rhyme, but not a single word wasted. Every word that you say is means something. You're not trying to set up the next rhyme, or you're not just rhyming for the sake of finishing the previous couplet. Can you tell us how did you get to your current style of poetry and writing?
Well, then let me go to the most recent experience, right? My friend and colleague, Roger G. Smith, who has his solo show on Netflix called Rodney King. Rodney King, check it out, man. I mean,
on that link over there.
Yeah, and he has a piece where, using a lyrical style, he tells a perspective of the events that occurred through Rodney King's eyes. And this man is brilliant, man. This man is an OG in the solo performance game. I was blessed to meet him a few years ago, and I sat down with him, before I went on tour. And I asked him, I was like, how can I improve? What do I need to do to get better? And he looked at me and he said, earn your syllables, young man.
Hey.
Earn your syllables, because what's the point of me having a bunch of words if I'm throwing half of them away? You know what I mean? What's the point of it being it sounds nice, right? But it ain't. Where's the message? Where's the content? And at the end of the day, another big homie just told me recently too, is you have to make it about the story. It's the story, it's the narrative that you're weaving, it's what you're having your audience connect to. And then going back to the very beginning, it's I learned how to format and do what I do by studying Shakespeare.
Word, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Willie Shakes, yo.
Willie Shakes.
Willie Shakes.
Hey, shout out Willie Shakes,
guy. Shout out to Willie Shakes, my man. He taught me the emphasis of the story versus the rhyme, because the rhyme is important. The rhyme is a tool, but you don't build a house by making it about the hammer. You get what I'm saying? Because if all you do, you make it about the hammer, you forget about the saw, you forget about the wrench, you forget about the screwdriver, you forget about the nails and the wood. You know what I'm saying? It's one tool. And when I was younger, the emphasis was about rhyming, because I'm a lyricist. It was all about
and our generation of rap. It's in the fresh
bars, dog.
West Coast
bars.
West Coast style was so important.
Chopping, dog. Yeah. And early 90s, we're gonna slam syllables on our shit.
Multi-syllable stacking. If you you couldn't do a multi fuck you.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even need to know what bus driver said in like 95. You just need to listen,
Right.
dog.
Yeah.
You just need to listen.
Wu-Tang is for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for real.
So those were my influences, and then my biggest lyrical influence was Pac, and the way that Pac structured and told stories. So all of that goes to say that everything is valid because it is my own, but I also have to be mindful that once I birth it, it's no longer mine. You know what I mean? And it belongs to the masses and it belongs out there. And so all I can do is create a content, and then people will either feel it and they won't.
Yeah. And there's
I'm
like one thing that you do and express a lot in your work is this accountability to something.
Right.
This accountability to the craft, this accountability to myself, to my audience, to my community, this like humble realization that like we all just getting through it. You know what I'm saying? Like we bumping through it all the same, all the time.
Yeah, there's like impeccable like sympathy and empathy that you have. Like you write these characters in a lot of your pieces. Like all your pieces are narrative to some degree, and you have like an amazing way of like inhabiting those characters and perspectives
and humanizing
exactly
them, and making them like real and fleshed out, making people remember that like that guy you see is someone's son or someone's grandpa, or you know what I'm saying?
Like seeing like the humanity of these people really comes across in your work.
Hey,
Thank you, man. Fully appreciate that shit.
Thank you.
Alpharaoh,
I appreciate the
God.
people, they give me the opportunity to look into their eyes. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like I always teach my daughters, like if you don't make eye contact with them, they're not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's like something that like a lot of homeless like they really struggle with. Where like a lot of people in LA like there's a big homeless situation out here because our weather is consistent. So a lot of homeless people migrate out here. But the thing is that upsets a lot of homeless people is that like people just pass them, like they're not there. They
don't exist.
So like the least you can do is just say what's up.
Acknowledge.
The least you
Acknowledge
could do, dog.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah.
Or write some fire bars and let the world know. You know what I'm saying? Doing it.
And spin them in an MTA, bus lines. Like showtime. About to give you these bars, guys.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
Site specific.
Hell yeah.
Well, moving on off the threads and lines into the next part of the show.
The two-piece combo.
Two-piece combo!
The two-piece combo is where we review two pieces of poetry from the internet. The one off of YouTube, the other one off of Instagram. The first hashtag poetry result that we get. So be sure to follow us on Instagram at PenClique, PENCLIQUE, to see all that amazing, lovely Instagram poetry review. But for now, the first piece of poetry that we're going to review off of YouTube is from Button Poetry's channel, and it is Sierra DeMolder's piece, Today Means Amen, from the Get Lit Slam, I think it is.
Yeah, word.
Yeah, let's get popping.
Hey.
Shout out Sierra DeMolder. Shout out to Just Break Up Podcast. We see y'all.
Get it.
Dear you, whoever you are, however you got here,
Get here.
this is exactly where you are supposed to be.
Real quick, like this is like our 5th time listening to this, and each time like that hard,
Got.
like Midwest
twang.
accent, it's lovely. But damn, like it just like sticks out so much to us. It's like it's beautiful.
This moment has waited its whole life for you. This moment is your lover and you are a soldier. Come home, baby. It's over. You don't need to suffer anymore.
Hey, it's over.
Dear
Ooh.
you, this moment is your surprise party. You are both hiding in the dark and walking to the door. This moment is the hallelujah.
Ooh.
This moment is your permission slip to finally open that love letter you've been hiding from yourself. The one
And
you
she's
Permission slip to open that love letter. So like paper.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like, like Sierra DeMolder, she does like brevity. She has in spades.
so much with so little.
She's able to communicate like the world, like where you're at, what kind of room you're in, like what the feeling is in like 3 words.
Coming
or less.
home, it's over. Come
Yeah.
home, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
damn.
What is
dog.
that, dude? Like I bet this reads super fire.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This
Good stuff.
probably reads better. Like as someone that reads poetry, I would prefer to read
Yeah.
something like this.
wrote when you were little, when you still danced like a sparkler at dusk. You remember the moment you realized they were watching, when you became ashamed of how much light you were holding, when you first learned how to unlove yourself.
Hey.
Dear you.
So here's what's so
The word
interesting
to-
about that moment, right? Is that she gives us this beautiful setup about being a sparkler at dusk.
Dancing
Yeah.
with the sparkler.
There's dancing with the sparkler at dusk. and then she gives us the juxtaposition of the shame when you had too much light, and then she immediately moves it into forgetting how to love yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, word.
And what that is for me, the metaphor is like the dusk of the light coming down, the sparkler of the light fading out, and she creates this beautiful, vivid imagery that really puts me in a place that I know we're going into darkness.
Ooh. Oh, word. Okay.
Yo, my guy Alex got sharp pen and sharp ears, bro. Let's fucking go. Let's go, guys.
They were watching
about to get real.
when you became ashamed of how much light you were holding, when you first learned how to unlove yourself. Yeah. Dear you, the word today means amen in every language. Today we made it. Today I'm
not crazy about it either.
Today means amen in every language. I understand what that means. Like, conceptually, I like it, but like, again, going back to the brevity, I feel like that actually could be expounded on.
Allow it, bro. Allow it.
Well, I'll allow it by all means.
The post called today.
But also you look at it, right, and it's like, if you have someone that doesn't practice faith, and they're following this piece this long, then that's one of those buttons that really takes you out of it for a moment.
True.
You know what I mean? And that's not to say that.
But colloquially,
colloquially it works. Yeah. No, it
I'm
works.
Just saying, like, what does that really mean though? Today means amen. Like, what does that really mean though?
Well, like, it's a celebration of like, overcoming, isn't it?
Sure.
Like, amen.
Amen means I agree.
Well, we could get into the history of amen and Ra and all that shit later.
The box cuddle will rust in the garbage.
Hold up. All right, so this line.
Yeah, let's run this back.
Today we made it. Today I'm gonna love you. Today I'm gonna love myself. Today the box cuddle will rust in the garbage.
Hold.
The noose will forget
Pause that
how
real
to
quick. So here's an issue too with breath and with enunciation. Right?
And because she lost it there with box cutter.
She lost it there with box cutter or something like that. But we know that it's a box cutter, right?
You know why, dog? You know why? Because she did the overgassed, overrated.
And that threw her off.
Chest, I fuck with that. Oh, fuck it. Like, no, allow it. I think that shit is hype. I think that shit is dope. But by the way, we watched this together a couple times, and my first perception of like, I left the box cutter rusting in the garbage. I thought that meant like, I'm done slashing people's faces, giving them $1.50s, and it's rusty because of all the.
No, but she don't look. She don't look like she would cut.
You guys put me on. You guys explained to me because my dumb ass, like, I didn't catch it that like, it was about like self-harm.
Self-harm.
Yeah, she's now out of that mental escape, and like, she's now no longer slashing us. I don't know. I don't know why.
Unless you got like Tim's on and a North Face, or like Dickies pants on and a wife beater, you can't be fucking doing the chest pat.
She got the hoops on. She's being maybe she's from that. Like, maybe she really is talking about.
No, I'm not saying she's not.
50s,
I'm saying everybody though. I just don't like it. It's not a good look. Anyways, though, we do see her though stumble and like catch her breath and try and do something.
Today I'm gonna love you. Today I'm gonna love myself. Today the box cuddle will rust in the garbage. The noose will forget how to hold you. Today.
See, but then that's the problem, right? Is that because she's doing so much physically, she lost the breath, and she's like, and today, as she's getting it. The point I wanted to go back to is the beautiful metaphor about losing the breath that she's doing in real time, to the metaphor of the box cutter rusting. Is because the oxidization requires oxygen.
Get out of here, you
get what I'm saying?
This is like triple entendre flow, bro. Like, the loss of breath is also a loss of wind, and the wind of life, and the wind of changing seasons. You know what I'm saying? This is levels to this,
That's how we're doing. There's levels to it.
Facts. Let's go.
And I have always
Shout out to that image right there. Let's go.
That's a great image.
Nothing would be the same if you did not exist. You, who were once as small as a bouquet, who slept in the laps of strangers, nothing would be the same if you did not exist. You, whose voice is someone's favorite voice, someone's favorite face to wake up to, nothing would be the same if you did not exist. You, the teachers, the starter's gun, the lantern in the night who offers not a way home but the courage to travel farther into the dark. You, the lover, who worships the taste of her body, who is the largest tree ring in his heart, who does not let fear ration your love.
Like, who is the largest tree ring in her heart?
Word.
That's fire.
From the starting gun.
Yeah.
From the starting gun. Yeah.
The starting
courage
gun.
to travel
Bars.
farther into the dark. You, the lover, who worships the taste of her body, who is the largest tree ring in his heart, who does not let fear ration your love. You, the friend, the sacred chorus of how can I help?
Bro, and fuck that. Fuck the tree ring and fuck all that shit. Who does not let fear ration their love.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking wisdom, dog. That's like not even poetry. That's fucking science. That's mathematics.
Go see her.
You, who have felt more numb than holy, more cracked than mosaic, who have known the tiles of a bathroom by heart, who have forgotten what makes you worth it. You, the forgiven, the forgiver, who belongs right here in this moment. You, this clump of cells, this happy explosion that happened to start breathing, and by the grace of whatever is up there, you got here. You made it this whole way, through the nights that swallowed you whole, the mornings that arrived in pieces, the scabs, the gravel, the doubt, the hurt, the hurt is over today. You made it. You made it. You made it here. Thank you.
Hey, shouts out to the way that I end every poem, and I love it. Thank you. Dog. Thank your fucking audience. Stop
Thank
being
your
like,
audience,
that was
right.
dope, right? Like, just thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Gratitude.
So lit, though. Definitely slammy. Like, it's definitely a slam poem. The hurt, the hurt, the hurt. I didn't, like, she comes back and does it again, and I get it, I guess.
Yeah, like, again,
like,
if this written down, I bet, like, you know, that refrain, like, works, you know, structurally. Like, it works. Like, the format, like, you could see that she's writing, you know, real poetry and shit.
If
and
I could have sat on each hurt as long as I wanted to
Yeah.
on paper, it might have played better.
Right.
So here on Pen Click, on the two-piece combo, we grade every piece out of 10, like, give it a slam score. So that being said, Mr. Alex Alpharaoh, if you were to see this at a slam, what would you rate it out of 10?
I mean, if I'm rating it out of 10 and I'm giving one whole point based on one specific piece of criteria, and there's a 10-point criteria that I'm following, I'd have to give her a 7.75.
All right.
And the reason why is because, like, structurally the piece is solid. I mean, there's so much wisdom in it.
Yeah,
there's so much beautiful, concise imagery. There's so much metaphorical offerings that she's giving to the audience in a very tight and neat package. I just feel like there were moments where she was struggling to keep up with herself. So on a technical way, in a technical point of view, there were some issues with breath control. Right, there was some issues with loss of word, downward inflections versus upward inflections, and her being able to sustain that energy without feeling like she was playing catch up and getting exhausted. And even when she ends the piece and she's exhausted. She's just like, you know. So I give her the deduction of points only because she's amazing. And I want more.
Yeah, and really we're just nitpicking because it's so good.
Because she's so good.
Yeah, there's not
good.
a lot
it's dope.
to be like.
She's amazing.
And also I want to say that I feel like Alpharaoh's grading system is more outside of the slam scope.
Word.
Like out of the slam lens, because in the slam lens, a 7.75 is actually really low.
He also just got off tour of that solo performance nationally. So he's like, your poetry conditioning better be on point right now. I'm out there for an hour doing me. You better step up your game.
With the theatrical performance and his entire seniority and the shit. But at the same time, like, I feel like your scoring system is removed from that slam score, because, like,
very true.
If somebody got a 7.75, they wouldn't be making it into, like, the second round.
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not. But that being said, Mr. Daniel, like, you understanding having been in slams and shit.
So yeah, I'm gonna do the thing that I tend to do, or we tend to do, is I'm gonna say right now that first and third round is a different game, right? Third round, it might get something like a 7, it might get something like an 8. First round though, I'm gonna give this like a solid 9 because I want her to get through. I want to see where else this goes. Real quick, again, I don't like this for your performance. This doesn't add a lot.
That's
and
preference, man. I fuck with that.
I know, I feel you, but again, unless you bust the rhymes in like 96, yelling hoo-ah, like, I don't want to fuck, unless you ODB, like, I don't want to see you like patting on your chest, really.
All right, but also like
that aside though, also
yeah.
though, like in the work, like the bouquet line I felt was a little arbitrary. So the size of a bouquet in someone's lap, like maybe bouquet was kind of
because maybe people are trying to blossom out of their shell. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the way that I saw it is
she was talking about being a baby.
Yeah, but it was. You know why? Because this piece is so rich with such vivid imagery.
Okay.
That the reference to the bouquet and the baby. Because how does a woman hold a bouquet, right? And it's very similar to the way that a newborn baby is held.
Bouquet like that,
homie. Come on, dog.
Yeah, like Mr. Universe and all that shit.
Yeah, dude, they hold bouquets like they shocasing the shit out of them.
For the audio,
maybe that's on me.
For the audio only, people. Mr. Alex Alpharaoh is like holding an air bouquet as if it's like a football or a baby, or a little pigeon frise.
Thank God you're here, because that does make a little bit more sense.
But you know, but
yeah, I'm gonna say like hard up. Like I'm gonna say a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a 9 because it's dope though. She's fucking killing it. I think brevity and like concise, like that is the word to use. It is so. There's like, not a syllable, like you said earlier. Like every syllable in here is worth something and valuable. Yeah. And even if I'm disagreeing, saying like, "Oh, you said hurt 3 times and shouldn't have," or "You said bouquet and shouldn't have," it's still like the tiniest little fucking thing.
We're only nitpicking because again, like
we need to do.
She set the bar so high, like from the top.
Yeah, word.
Yeah, but you know, like going back to like. There is a time and place to do the chest beat, and that's like for me, because like I'm only there when the chest beat to me is like
when you beat the case or had a baby, dog. Or that's when you fucking that's when you chest beat, dog. I had a fucking baby.
No, to me, like you're beating the chest like after you land a big haymaker, and the crowd is going nuts.
She didn't land a big haymaker.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's why like that kind of deducts, because for me, like my own preferences in performances and in slam and just in performance poetry in general and battle rap, all that shit is like
you like gassed up shit.
You need that haymaker to shake the room. You need that room shaker to really make it pop. At least one. Right. And she didn't have that one for me. But like when you do land that big haymaker, it's like, yo, fucking wrote that shit. Fuck you. Word. But you know, like she made the crowd like, you know, snap a pretty big one time, but she didn't have that big moment. But and she also doesn't have like that super wordplay heavy shit that I love. But at the same time, I can overlook all that because her brevity, that's something that I personally like in my own work. Yeah, and she has that in like spades that I cannot do what she did.
Absolutely.
That's like that's so fire to me. Like the shit that she pulls off, even though like I'm not super into that, I acknowledge the skill that it takes to do what she accomplished.
The skill set. It's not like a singular thing, right? Like many of your skills lend to being able to write like that.
So round one, I do want to see her through, and I fuck with like the style of poetry. And as well as like, you know, the content, it's a healing poem. It's not some emotional triggering bullshit. It's like she's really trying to hype you up, hype the crowd up. Like, yo, you can do this. You can get through this. Let's go.
And she touches on some like sad boy shit, but it's also on that like inclusive tip of like you too, dog. Every one of you.
Also. So on some slam shit, like I would give that like a 9.3.
Let's go.
Okay.
Word.
Shout out Sierra DeMoller.
Killing it.
Yeah, killing it. So you could check her out.
Beat your chest.
You could check her out. She got her piece. You gotta check it out on Post. She got a lot of stuff. She got books. She got, she's all over social. Sierra DeMolder. Check her out.
Fire.
All right, so that's the first piece of the 2-piece combo. Now we're going to go into our second piece where we review a piece of Instagram poetry off of Instagram, the first result off of #poetry. And today's #poetry Instagram piece that we're going to review for the 2-piece combo is from Fick Nightheart, shout out to you, who dropped a location from the Chicago metropolitan area. Shout out Chicago.
All right.
Chi-town.
All right. And we have a 3-line piece. Okay, let's get it. Mr. Alex Alpharaoh, will you please do us the honor of reading F. Nightheart's piece?
Wealth is an excess of luxury. Luxury is an excess of comfort. My only comfort is your heart.
Is it? Wealth is an excess. Nope.
So not
even close.
Right,
Wealth is an one more time.
Wealth is an excess of luxury. Luxury is an excess of comfort. My only comfort is your heart.
What the fuck? Wealth is an excess of luxury.
Wealth is an excess.
Wealth is having a lot of luxury. That's not true.
No, that's not true.
Luxury is an excess of comfort. I guess that can be
true.
Wealth means you have money.
Well, like I also, you know,
My
like,
only.
if you have,
So they trying to do that like logic problem,
Yeah.
like you know,
Right,
what I'm
where you're
saying?
building from one
A,
point to
B,
the- yeah,
if
A,
A
B,
is
and C.
B,
but it's a
and
little,
B is C,
it's a
and
little
C is
shaky,
A.
baby, because
It's
like the logic's
completely
not there.
shaky.
Yeah.
The logic's not there. Like wealth is
Wealth?
not an excess of luxury, because luxury is just a description of something like this.
Quality,
This
quantity.
gourmet dish is luxurious, but it doesn't have to be expensive. You know what I mean?
Right.
My
Wealth is an
only
excess.
comfort is your heart.
That I can get on board with. My only comfort is your heart.
But the setup is whack. It's
Yeah.
like I can appreciate the punchline, but the setup is whack.
It's trying to be deep. It's trying to be too deep.
It is trying
You know
to
what I
word
mean?
swag and be
Yeah.
wordy. Look at me, I'm deep. Like it's,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It's
Wealth is an excess of luxury. No, because I know a lot of wealthy people that live very modestly.
yeah.
You know
it's
what I
just
mean?
weird. It
And
doesn't make
luxury
sense.
as
It's
an
an
excess
excess
of
of-
comfort?
That's not
No,
true either.
because like being comfortable and having luxury
separate things.
can be exclusive.
Yeah, word. This
You
is
know?
weird. We rate every hashtag poetry little part of the two piece as the same scale.
out of 10.
1 to 10. I'm gonna jump into it because I got numbers. This is just confusing. This is just like, huh? And it's not like awful. It's not like bad poetry.
But if somebody said this in the barbershop, like yo,
you get roasted, homie.
wealth is an excess of luxury. It's
Get
like,
out.
look at this motherfucker. Fuck out of here, bro. Fuck out of here.
Rah, get out, dog. What the fuck does that even mean? That's exactly what you would say. What? What, dog? Okay, cool.
All of a sudden, people start pulling out their stacks. Like, I don't know about you, motherfucker, but
yeah, dog.
I love me some money.
Yeah.
Out of 10, sir. Out of 10. What would you grade it?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a real solid 2 points for effort. I'm gonna give it another. I'm gonna say a 3, dog. I'm gonna say a 3.
3? All right.
I think that feels right. A 3 sounds right.
For
3
all the
lines,
things-
3 confusing ass lines, 3 points.
For Instagram poems, we've read worse.
Yeah, word all day. That could be-
So
that's fair to say.
contextually, all right, I get it. Mr. Alex?
I mean, I gotta give credit for the effort.
Yeah.
Right? And the romance behind my only comfort is your heart. That's a beautiful idealistic thought.
My only comfort is your heart.
That it reminds me of young, unfeathered, untainted love. So for that, it gets a solid point.
Okay.
It reminds me of the intro of a New Jack song. The talk intro. It reminds me of a talk intro from an early '90s R&B song. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The effort alone gives it a point too. Yeah, man. I think overall I'm gonna give it a solid 3. Because the effort, because of the romance and the folly behind it.
The effort of screen capping from the Notes app in Mac OS.
You could put "My only comfort is your heart" at the end of any sentence and turn it into a early '90s R&B.
Oh yeah,
intro.
just one of them days.
All right,
my
so,
only comfort is your heart.
Anything done. Gotta pay my bills. My only
Yeah.
comfort
So
is your heart.
I see the punchline, but the setup is whack, and the punchline's not even that dope. But
Tell them about it.
like my only comfort is your heart. I was like,
It's all right.
it's alright. Yeah, this for Instagram poetry, it's 3.
A 3, right?
Very, we read worse, but also this isn't necessarily good either.
Hey, look at it this way. Flick night art. I mean, you put us all together and you got yourself a 9.
Hey, look, yeah, boom. Brah, brah.
Yo, shout out.
Go, shout out.
9 out of 30, but still, you could say I got 9 from the pen click. So
And,
shout out you.
low key, high key, this might work, dog. You know what I'm saying? This as this little 3 lines written in a nice little note. You make
To
a
the
card.
right person
Yeah, this shit could
who
work.
doesn't know anything about wealth or luxury, and the,
Or the heart.
or the heart. It's yo, this might work on somebody. So shout out to you.
Shout out to you.
This might work.
Do
Facts.
it.
Let's go.
So that was the little part of the 2-piece combo. Be sure to follow us on Instagram to watch all our Instagram reviews at Penclique, PENCLIQUE. Which brings us to the last segment of our show, the 5 for your eye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So the 5 for your eye is where we give the poet ahead of time 5 words, and they have to write a new poem of any format, any style, kick it as long as they use all 5 words. And today's 5 words are, Mr. Daniel.
We got for Alex returning to the Pen Clique for the umpteenth million time. Zeal, resource, additive, hitch, and instinct. So Mr. Alpharaoh had to use all 5 words, any style of poetry, anything he wants to do with them, as long as all those words is there. We gave him some time, and this is what he brought in.
Oof. All right. The seal we feel in our pursuit to be seen, be heard, be more than of the herd, shepherded through the burden of cost of living, causes real illness through streamlined thinking as subliminal thoughts sink in while we sip lattes with milk skim. Maxed out credit, not enough debits to wipe out the debt we're in. Instead of facing our problems of self-made conundrums, we live in a tandem between real life and reposting streams of unoriginal lines, regurgitated rhymes, and inspirational quotes that others wrote, hoping to connect through digital emotes as we begin to outlive our folks, grown and feeling scared and alone. See, my heroes died before 1999. The world has been dying, and my father has stopped talking to me in my dreams. I've been alone for a long time. Desperately struggling to overcome the struggle like sleight of hand gestures while coping with my own atrophy is why I now do for a fee what I loved to do when it was free. Raised with hand-me-down resources and philosophies, resurfaced as poorly executed forms of validity, proof that the psychological infirmities we've been attacked with since our earliest memories continue to be effective weaponry in the art of war to prevent us from fulfilling our destinies. Let me break it down for you. It's all a fucking lie. Told we were the consequence of ignorant decision making, the constant ball breaking by parents too busy faking as if their bodies aren't aching, their hearts aren't breaking, their souls are vacant while their minds are boxed in as the years move from looking forward to looking back. It's on you now to end the cycle of being just one more thing. These are facts. Just one more responsibility, one more item on the monthly list of utilities right behind paying for basic groceries. How gross of me to seek a higher net out of the max gross after all the fees. So that makes me the sellout, huh? I've never been bailed out, bruh. I've been accused of having an addictive personality because I'm obsessed with me. Narcissist with navicis, which leads me to insist that I persist or perish. This is what it really means to resist, so take notice. Existence is heavy in its finite brevity. If your socioeconomic ability caught you taking more L's than props, growing up without a pops made my odds lopsided with a side of negligence as an added additive. Add a kid, living off instinct. Don't think, don't blink, react and live with the after the fact. Pray to God you don't have to retract or backtrack, earning you bad stats. You don't want to be known as that cat. Bad reps are like ugly tats. They stay with you way after you die. Almost as bad as being hitched to a bride, groomed to be completely dead inside because this is what is desired by a respectable guy. But our partner should be our strongest allies. Instead, she painfully cries inside a marble bathtub with the cold shower on high while you high as fuck with your guys, clueless to what really is the right reserves and supplies. Buying into me culture perpetrated by trend vultures who look and think like Ann Coulter, setting you up to act against your self-interest. Why do you think cigarette ads in liquor stores are placed at eye level of children? To be yourself is an act of defiance. Cultivate it right and it will take care of you beyond finance. Your uniqueness is your best feature, your greatest fortune. Don't squander it wandering shit. Stop looking for outside validation. It's a form of self-castigation. Heed my contribution to your education. And yo, you can thank me after your culmination.
Damn, let's go. Alpharaoh the God, let's go.
How long are we gonna rhyme for? Forever and ever and ever. Let's go, dog. Hey, thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me, man.
For the 5th time, for the 6th time. We'll have you on a million times. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I love Pen Clique.
Tell everybody where they can hit you, what they can see you doing.
All across the board on social media, Alpharaoh, ALPHARAOH, not OAH. At Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's all there. My website is www.dacamentedjourney.com, DACAJOURNEY.com. penclick.com.
Yeah, you're touring the show nationally. So
Yeah, real quick, like,
check
can you
the
give the
dates.
people a quick brief notice? What is this show about?
So my show is called Wet, A Documented Journey. It's an autobiographical account of being an American in every sense of the word except on paper. It chronicles the struggles of being an undocumented American in these dire times. It's I just got off my first national tour. I did 8 cities. I got a chance to do the Hip Hop Theater Festival in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. I did it at the Lincoln Center Education in New York City. Just finished wrapping up Yale University. So, it's a blessing to have the community stand in support of not just me as an artist, but this very important issue about humanity and migration and what it means to migrate.
We've seen the show like a couple of times, and this is so real because like for a lot of people who don't know an undocumented person or who don't know like what DACA is all about, like this is a real this is your true story, and this really puts into perspective of what it means from this from the ground level, and it's such a wild, dope story. It brought me to tears, bro.
Oh yeah, word. And much like what you saw today, it's humanizing. It's not militant or politically bent. It is humanizing and heart leaning, and like it'll teach you.
Told through narrative, teaches you through narrative. Bro, appreciate you guys.
Hey, go check it out. DocumenterJourney.com at Alpharaoh.
And you can check us out at PenClique, PenClique on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are actually at the PenClique, ThePenClique, because some guys won't let go of the PenClique username. Yo, y'all not doing your last tweet was in like 2014,
Dog.
The last time that y'all were using it, like fucking like
it's called a username.
Rage comments were still a thing. Fuck out of here, bro. It's like, oh yeah, it's called a username. Facts. It's called a username, man. You ain't using it. Fuck out of here, bro. Yo, let the ones that are doing something like, let the poppers pop, let the breakers break. You know what I'm saying?
The king's back.
Go.
Dog.
And Daniel Hees, where can they get at you?
Go check out everything we're doing at Chubby Fat, thechubbyfat.com, at thechubbyfat on Instagram. Yeah, we out there.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Alex.
Appreciate you guys. Much love to PenClique, man. I'm so grateful and appreciative that you guys always show me love. You guys believed in me, and you guys gave me a shot when fucking nobody knew me, nobody believed in me.
We see the vision.
You guys are family,
we saw the
man.
vision. He saw our vision.
Thank you, man.
Fuck with
Thank
it.
you.
We out here shining,
gang.
ascending.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Much love. Deuces.
Go write a poem.